Hello and welcome to Film Summary. Today I am going to present to you that film called Oh Brawling Cell Block 99. Spoiler ahead, take care from you, and good viewing of the film begins when Bradley tows one car to the garage where he works. Turns out his boss is waiting for him in front of the workshop and wants to talk to him about something important. Let's see it. Unusual body language of his boss. He is curious about what he is going to speak. His guess is correct, because he is dismissed because of the economic crisis. Shortly after, packs his bags and leaves the workshop. Arriving home, Bradley finds her woman Lorraine on the phone sitting in a car parked in front of his house. Bradley, suspecting to see his wife, called someone come closer immediately and opens the door of the car. He tells her he has just been fired from his job. While talking to his wife, he notices traces of red kisses on her neck. Jealous, they grab the phone, his wife's cell phone, and checks it. Last call. It turns out his wife just called another angry man. He tells his wife to go in the home. After that, he vents his anger in destroying his wife's car by hitting the mirror and pulling out force the hood of the car. Bradley invites Lauren over to have a one-on-one conversation inside the house and asks him how long has she had one affair. His wife confesses while she has an affair with another man during 3 months. When Lorraine made a miscarriage, she felt sad, and Bradley was busy with his work and had no time for her afterwards. Expressing their feelings respective, Bradley invites his wife to start a new life, and Lorraine accepts after being fired from the Bradley repair shop. Intent to work with a man named Giles, who is a pacer of dope. Hearing this, his wife is not agree with his decision, though Bradley and adamant he is not easy for him to quickly find one employment in economic conditions. Current difficulties. 8 months later, Bradley begins his job as a pacer of drugs. He delivers a package to a dealer in an apartment and goes home by car. His family's economy begins to change. He can now live in the luxury and to move to a house more greater and grander. Lorraine is too pregnant again. While kissing his wife at home, Bradley suddenly receives a phone call from Giles asking him to come to his house. He then hastens to leaving. Arrived there, Bradley is introduced to a new friend of Giles named Eliza. Eliza is a dashing man with black hair and has a network of large-scale drugs in Mexico. Eliza came with 2 of his novel men and Peter. These 2 men have very postures, strong and broad as guards of the body. Eliza informed that these 2 men would accompany Bradley when they would be in service. However, the idea of the Lizards is rejected by Bradley because one of the men of Eliza's novel seems to be under the influence of drugs. Bradley thinks that if romance accompanies him, it does not cause him a problem, and the chance defends his men and says he has ornate Romanesque. Giles then convinces Bradley to accept this very commercial task, important, and is promised 3 months off when the baby is born. Eventually, Bradley accepts the offer provided that he directs the mission and that the men of the Lizards conform to it. Both parties accept. Bradley and Eliza's men perform immediately their traffic mission of drugs. At night, they arrive at a pier. Bradley men and Lizards who will begin the task of recovering one packet of drugs that was placed at the bottom of the sea. All 3 worlds in a small one yacht and set sail. Arrived at middle of the sea, the yacht stops. Pedro prepares to retrieve the package from drugs by diving to the bottom of the ocean. Soon after, Pedro finds one huge box like a treasure chest. Pirate tied by chains opens it. The chain lock with a foot of dough. As fast as he could, he take all the drug packets and now to the surface of the Bradley Sea, and Romaine helps him get the package from drugs. After that, the yacht returns to the quay. Bradley suspects that the police are going ambush them as he get off the yacht, so he orders to Romaine and Pedro to throw the package drug overboard. Hearing this, Romance and Pedro reject the instruction of Bradley and he are fighting to do short. Bradley finally separates from Roman and Pedro. However, when they reach the pier car park, police surround Romaine and Pedro and a shootout without. Next, let's see the Bradley incident from afar. Walk quickly to get back on the yacht. Unfortunately, on the way there, meets a policeman who asks him his help to help them. Bradley must think quickly to avoid being suspected, and he pretends to be one civilian by helping the police. Then he shoots on Romance and Pedro. Pedro died in the shootout, and Bradley is stopped by the police and immediately placed in detention at police station. Bradley is questioned by a detective. The detective learns that Bradley is a person intelligent who can deceive others. However, the police are not stupid. Finally his trial takes place and the court sentences him to 7 years in prison for murder and possession of weapons, illegal. After being condemned he is sent in prison on a prison bus. At his arrival at Bradley Prison undergoes a physical examination. Then the director of the prison asks all prisoners to release all the objects found in their body, and then he undergoes an examination. Doctor at the clinic. After that he is escorted to his cell at last floor by an old man named Vidal. When Bradley arrives in his cell he meets an appointed prison warden, Andre. He explains the rules to him applicable to detainees during their stay in prison. One of the rules is that all prisoners must come out and stand before their cells for be recorded when the bell rings. Night falls and the bell rings. The detainees place themselves immediately in front of their respective cells and are reviewed by the prison director. When all inmates of the tasks stand in front of their cells, Bradley is still deeply and the inmates wait for them to wake up. Shortly after Bradley wakes up and reprimanded by the director of the prison, he is asked to be more disciplined and to obey the rules of the prison. During this time at the residence of Bradley, Lorna suddenly finds one intruder who introduced him to her home and shoots him with a pistol. Crippling Lauren passes out, is taken away by the kidnapper in a place mysterious. The next day in prison, Bradley is invited to see the staff penitentiary in his office. On staff is called Denise, who tells her that an obstetrician wants to meet him there. Turns out the doctor was his wife's obstetrician. The doctor wanted to discuss the complications that Lorraine had met during her pregnancy. Bradley meets the doctor, paying him. Next day in the reception room of prison, Dr. Pellmans turns out to be the henchman of Elizabeth, that is come to the prison to tell him that his boss lost $3.2 million for his drug business miss out the time. He then shows her a picture of Lorraine sitting on a chair, eyes closed and hands tied. The Dr. Pellman threatens to abort Lorraine, though Bradley does not comply with the wish of Elizabeth. Finally they manage to an agreement. Bradley is asked to stand redeem by killing a named inmate, Christopher Bridge, sentenced to life. The prisoner is in another prison, namely in the cell block 99. After finishing talking with his guest, Bradley was escorted by the director of the prison until his cell. Before entering his cell, he suddenly takes off his shoes and hits Andre with a fight without continuation. Bradley deliberately provoked one, stirring in order to be transferred into the 19 in life cell block, or the jail area is a jail separated with maximum security. Bradley can beat Andre easily, however some of Andre's colleagues came and managed to catch him. Bradley attacks and knew several prison guards on the way to the cell and a fight without result. Bradley does this because he feels that the problems he encountered are not enough to be transferred. In the red life area at the end of the fight, he is electrocuted by one of prison guards and he is transferred to Reedif jail. When Bradley arrives at Red Leaf, he is greeted by the manager. The manager warns him that the Red Life prison is a prison of maximum security where the possibility to be released is very weak. After one physical examination, Bradley was escorted towards cell number 59. On arrival in the cell, he is surprised to see that the state of the part is different from that of the prison preceding. The cell is now dark, hall and smelly. The cell that is attached to toilets open and filled excrement of former prisoners. He couldn't stand the stench and take off his shirt to cover himself. Knows after staying a long time in his Bradley cell is approached by officers who took him out for that they can breathe fresh air for 60 minutes. When he arrives within the confines of the prison, he is approached by a young prisoner named Bradley. Then asks Derek if he knows a named prisoner, Christopher Bridge. Derek responds that he does not know the prisoner of this name. A little later, Bradley approaches several inmates who were doing the exercise, though Derek is forbidden to approach the detainees. He then still disturbs. The fights are inevitable. One by one the prisoners fall soon after the guards from the prison fired shots. Seed again, Bradley attacks the agents. Eventually he may be paralyzed and immediately taken to the area of the 90 cell block 9. Eyes closed. Arrival at 90 cell block 9. Bradley blindfold was removed, and he saw that 90 cell block 9 was very isolated and located under earth. Before entering the cell, on put an electrocution vest on him. When he enters the cell, he sees lots of broken glasses strewn about the floor of the cell. During this time, Lorraine looks very weak because she is held prisoner in a place hidden. Dr. Pellmans lies also in the place where Lorraine is held prisoner with a doctor abortionist. However, they have not yet practiced abortion in Lorain but only made a preliminary examination there. Scene returns to Bradley Prison. Kijimeli in his cell begins to shouting the name of Christopher Bridge. The inmate with a serious accent next to him replies that there is no prisoner named Christopher Bridge. It is not necessary. Long for the keepers of the jail come electrocute him up. What they limped then, the manager said at Bradley. Then several inmates wanted to see it. Bradley is led into a basement to meet the inmates. It turns out that when he met them prisoners, one of them were Eliza. Bradley then learns that the doctors request payment to kill Christopher Bridge was a Russian for that Bradley can be transferred into the 99 cell block and Eliza can torture him. Elizard angrily states that he lost $3.2 million more because of Bradley actions. He was put in prison and his sister had to be widowed because he killed her husband Pedro then of a shooting on Bradley Pier and tortured continuously until he is weak. He is then shown one photo of his wife Lorraine Kijimeli equally limp and defenseless. After the torture, Bradley is dragged in his cell. Bradley returns to the holding cell where he was Eliza and attack these men one by one. The men of the Lizards fall on ground. Eliza remains in the Bradley cell, then strangles Eliza and asks her to send a message to the payment doctor to cancel the abortion of his wife. He also asks them to bring Lorraine at Giles's request. Bradley is granted after he is broke Elizabeth's leg. When arriving at the residence of Giles, Lorraine caught her immediately to him after the Giles shoots the payment doctor from a distance and the abortion doctor with a gun, Long eliminating them in prison after having received the news that his wife has survived by cell phone. Bradley then give a last message and asks his wife to put the cellphone on her stomach so that the baby she was carrying then get the message that he was going convey. He hopes his baby will grow up healthy and will be smart. Bradley looks very sad because he knows he will never see his child. After hanging up the phone there, return to Eliza's cell and attacks her until her nipple. Prison warden comes and shoots a bullet in the head of Bradley, eliminating it. Be sure to subscribe for be able to watch more movie summary like this. Thanks for watching. See you next Friday.